Hey, everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? This episode of Fatso Radio and every episode of Fatso Radio is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. Volpe Martial Arts is KW's hottest, newest Kung Fu and Hapkido school. Folks, VolpeMartialArts.com. My brother Sifu Adam brings you his lifelong passion, his dream, his excitement, his fitness, his discipline, his love of the village, love of the community. 6 days a week, 5 days, 6 days a week. Check it out. VolpeMartialArts.com. Folks, tonight it's all about the village. It's always all about the village for me. Every time I'm reminded, every time I hear from an old friend, I'm reminded of the village. I'm reminded about the village and how important it is to me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and share the channel wherever you listen to podcasts and wherever you watch the video. Thank you so much. Lily, take it away. Fatso Radio.
Fatso, the really good podcast show.
Fatso, our very first podcast show.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? This episode of Fatso Radio and every episode of Fatso Radio is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. Folks, Volpe Martial Arts is KW's hottest, newest Kung Fu and Hapkido school. Check it out, VolpeMartialArts.com. My brother Sifu Adam comes to you each and every week, almost each and every day of the week. Check it out, VolpeMartialArts.com. It's an amazing fusion, Chinese Kung Fu with Korean Hapkido, self-defense, discipline, camaraderie, friendships, family, essentially what it is. Teaches you discipline, teaches you self-defense, everything you need. Great for confidence, great for kids, great for adults, great for everybody. Check it out, Volpe Martial Arts. Folks, along with the family and the village type mentality that Volpe Martial Arts and a lot of other communities, a lot of other businesses bring, this is what I want to talk about today on episode number 146 of Fatso Radio. Again, normally I talk about fat and weight loss and the journey and the struggles that everybody has and that I continually have, but also it's not just about that. One of the reasons why I keep on doing Fatso Radio is because it has given me at least some confidence or at least some freedom to just talk about whatever I want, right? Sometimes people like what I talk about. Sometimes you don't like what I talk about. Sometimes I talk about freedom. Sometimes I talk about whatever. Sometimes I talk about weight loss, but sometimes I don't. And today I want to talk about, it has to do with weight loss. It has to do with every aspect of our life. Today's episode, I want to talk about the village. It still takes a village. It will always take a village to raise a child. It will always take a village to not only raise a child, but to raise an adult, really, right? And support an adult and support the family and the communities. Really is a village. The virtual village is around. I get that. You know, we're remote these days. We see people all over the world. We have the ability to stay connected. But that village is still valid. And that village is still there, even if you are all over the country. What I want to focus on today is the ability, or not the ability, but the benefit and what a real, actual kind of physical type mentality of a village, what that does to us and what benefit we do. What benefit we get from that. And what I mean by that is the people around you, right? The family, the friends, the co-workers, but the schoolmates and the clubs and the sports teammates and all the things you do, all the extracurricular activities you do, all the things that you would consider your support structure, right? Your community. That's the village, right? Community means village. So why is it so important? Well, it's important to me because I realize as I get older that anywhere you go in life, I mean, not anywhere, not any place, but in most cases, right? Having the support and love of family and friends and that community just makes life better. It really does, because not only when you need them, but also when they need you, right? Helping people is, I mean, whether you're religious or not, whether you're altruistic or not, or whatever the case may be, but helping other people is one of the most rewarding things that a human can feel. And it's not just me saying it, many people say it, and I also feel it, right? I don't help people every single day, of course, and I can help people way more than I do, but when I do help people, there's something about that really speaks to you, right? And it really is something that it feels good in the soul, not because you're looking for gratitude or not because you're looking for any sort of thanks or praise or pat on the back. There is something good about giving, and it actually feels, for me and for a lot of people, it feels even better than receiving, because you know you're giving a gift, and you know that if someone appreciates it, and even if they don't appreciate it, you know that you're selflessly giving yourself and your time to somebody else, and that is, again, tying that back in. That's what creates the village, and that's what keeps the village strong. I've had a few episodes over the years on the village. And I keep on going back to this because it is so important, not only in the space or the headspace of weight loss and nutrition and staying on track or fitness and getting your goals or trying to attain your goals. Not only than that is important to have support, to have that buddy, whether it's a workout buddy, whether it's just a motivation buddy, whether it's that guy on the internet like me, Carlo, Fatso Radio, who does push-ups every morning. Nothing big, but I just do 10, 20 push-ups. I do 20 crunches. I do 20 squats. I'm still doing it year after year, day after day. And I'm doing it because it helps a couple people. Really, if it helps 1 million people, great. If it helps 10 people, great too. It doesn't matter to me. I partially do it as well for myself. That's kind of a way that I ensure that I'm in the communication with my village, right? I'm from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. I live down here in Southern Ontario. Now, I was there for 20 years. I've been down here for 15 years. I'm still connected to the people back in Sault Ste. Marie. I'm still connected to those people, and I'm grateful. It's sometimes you go 20 years without talking to somebody. Sometimes you'll talk to somebody every week or so, every month or so, and even though they're far away, thankfully today with technology we have the ability to connect, right? And that's still the village. I was chatting with a high school buddy, actually elementary school buddy of mine tonight, Jamie. You better be watching this, buddy. And we kind of both said the same thing at the same time. It's like, it's that village mentality. It's that small town mentality. Even if you grew up in a big city, your local area, your village is still there, right? You can still have a small town. I know people that grew up in Toronto and they still had a bunch of buddies. They still had their neighborhood. They still had their one school. I mean, it's not like you grew up in Toronto and you go to 50 schools. You still go to one school. You still have a neighborhood. You still have either a house or an apartment or a condo or whatever it is. People on your floor, the people next to you, the people in the next building, that's your community, that's your neighbor, right? So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be in a small town, but that small town mentality that I feel and I grew up with, I really love. And like I said, it's not just the small town mentality, but the ability or the good luck and the good fortune we have, right? In to still be connected with these people years and years later. If you're my age, 40 something, and you grew up close enough to people and the internet has come along and Facebook's come along and YouTube's come along just quick enough to where you're still probably talking to your elementary school friends sometimes, or you're still talking to definitely probably still connecting with your high school friends, your college friends, and all your coworkers you've ever worked with and things like that. So if you're older, if you're 50, 60, 70, I mean, you still can maybe find your friends online from elementary school and high school, but you don't have we're lucky. I think the Gen Xers, the whatever, I don't know, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and the 90s, whatever we are. I'm sure many of us appreciate it. And many of my listeners, many of you guys listening are at my age category, right? In the 40s, in their 30s. And I'm sure you can appreciate this. Let me know what you think about it, right? fatsoradio@gmail.com. But I really love it. I was talking to Jamie, shooting a shit, going, hey, what's going on in the Sioux? What's going on here? And just joking around and just, and that's a perfect example, right? We hung out in elementary school. We hung out in high school together here and there. We go shooting together, or we just hang out and do stuff. Years go by. I've been gone from the Sioux 15 years, right? And I can still pick up the phone and talk to Jamie like there's been no time delayed at all. Nothing. No time has passed at all. Jamie's been on the podcast. We've talked about guns. We've talked about other stuff. And I feel like it's nothing special that I'm doing, believe me, but I feel like I have that ability to just go reach out to anybody. I mean, there are people on my Facebook list that I haven't talked to in 15 years. I haven't talked to in 20, 25 years, maybe. Well, when was 97? That's a long time ago. So let's just say 25 years, pretty soon. And so, yeah, it's just, like I said, it's not my ability. It's nothing special about what I'm doing, but I feel like all you have to do is pick up the phone or pick up the messenger and say, hey, what's up? I got a message from Aaron Neeson tonight. Aaron, maybe you're listening to this podcast. I don't know. He's like, what's up, dude? I want a recipe for that porchetta you made the other day. That's the other thing too. When I cook stuff or when I put stuff online, it's not to show off by any means, believe me. It's to say, hey guys, if you were in my town, if you were in our circle still, if I was still hanging out with you in elementary school or high school or college or whatever, I would tell you this anyway. Here's what I'm making, right? And I love the fact that Aaron reached out to me after I probably have Aaron. When was the last time we talked? We probably haven't talked since 97, 98, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, man, I'll give you my recipe. No problem. Give him a secret recipe. Didn't tell him all the spices, but I told him most of the spices. Told him how to do it. Told him to send me pictures when it's done. And that's what I love. That at the same time I was chatting with Jamie about whatever about what's going on in the zoo, or hunting and fishing, and what's the housing cost like in the zoo, or whatever the case may be. And it's that ability to just chat and connect and act like no time has passed at all. And it's I love it. And that's what builds, that's what not only builds the village, of course, but that's what keeps on keeping the village alive and keeping that spirit of connection and family and neighborhoods, right, and friendship and all of that stuff. So I really do think that it is it's something so powerful, right? And something, it's that connection, it's that family, it's the neighborhood, right? Anybody who knows me, anybody's grown up with me, it's like, hey, if you're friends with me, you're family with me. And that's what I mean. And right, that's what it is. So thank you for reaching out, Aaron. Thanks for the chat, Jamie. It's always great to chat with you. I want to get you back on the podcast. We want to chat. Aaron, if you want to talk, let's talk on the podcast, my friend. But on the other hand, too, I want to talk about how important the village is for just success in life. I've talked about how important it is if you're trying to get on track with your diet, if you're trying to get your nutrition dialed in, if you're trying to get your exercise dialed in, or just, yeah, those two things I talk about often, right? But it's more than that. It's the mental health of just friendship, right? And belonging and having support, just, not just with that exercise, not just with diet, but like just support in life, right? When there's an illness, when there's a death in the family, when there's a job loss, when you're looking for a job, all of that stuff. It's not just, I'm starting to learn, and it's weird, right? Because asking for help is like the hardest thing in the world for a lot of people. But it makes so much sense that if you're going to ask for help from anybody, right? Why wouldn't you ask for help from the family, the friends that you have, the neighborhood friends that you grew, the friends you grew up with, and all that stuff, rather than, and I'm just trying to compare it quickly to, rather than the government, right? Rather than the prime minister or the political party that's in power, who's going to change in 4 years, who's going to change in a year and a half, maybe, or who's going to have another election whenever they decide they want to have another election. So the real village, right, is the people village, the community, the human to human contact. And without that village, honestly, you can do it on your own, I guess, right? I don't know. I've never been successfully in doing anything completely on my own. Even something that's big, it's things that are big, having kids, of course. I mean, I didn't do most of the work. My wife did, bless her. I mean, even like school and even education, even jobs and stuff like that, but people help you sometimes, and friends help you. And even something like weight loss or getting back on track, like there's help from everywhere else. Hey, during my major part of my weight loss, my wife, my partner, Fatima, was probably more, like, I have to say thanks to her even more to myself at times, because there was times where I didn't cook the meals that I should have, but she did, right? Or there was times where she kept me on track, and there's times where I kept her on track as well. But there's times where she's like, hey, maybe you need a break, and maybe like, no, I didn't need a break, I'm gonna keep on going. And even that little bit of it's love, not support, right? It's the support of checking and going, hey, are you going a little obsessed with this, or you need a break? No, I'm okay, I'm gonna go ahead. Maybe I am obsessed with it, maybe I was obsessed with it, whatever, at times. But that's kind of it's not like we always listen to advice, right? But that's the kind of support, right? That's the kind of support, that's the kind of back and forth that you get with someone who loves you, right? And people who love you, and a community that loves you, and a village that loves you. And it's all about the village, right? So another short episode, but I just want to give a shout out to all the folks back home, Sault Ste. Marie, not only Sault Ste. Marie, but even here in Kitchener, in Waterloo, in Guelph, in Cambridge. But specifically tonight, I want to give a shout out to kind of the small town idea, but the village idea. My friends and family back in Sault Ste. Marie. Like I said, I went to elementary school, went to high school, went to college in the Soo. I worked in the Soo for a little bit. It's home. It's always going to be home. Whether I go back once a year or whether I go back every 2 years, I'll feel comfortable to go in and walk around and pick up the phone and say, Jamie, I'm coming over, or whatever. Aaron, I'm going to come over to your house. I don't even know if you're in the Soo, Aaron, but show me that picture of that porchetta. Let me know how it went. But yeah, and that's the thing. I think the more, I don't know if I'm feeling like as time goes on, the more I appreciate it. That is true. As time goes on, the more I appreciate it. But specifically during these times, during the pandemic over the last year and a half, 2 years, like, if you haven't felt isolated, I mean, I don't think you're normal. I'm sure at times everybody's felt isolated, and having the community and the family and the friends and the coworkers, all that's all village, right? Having your village around you and supporting you is essential. And I think that without the support I had and the support we had around here, and many others could say, we wouldn't have been able to make it through, right? So thank you for everybody here in town that supported me. Thank you for everybody back in Sault Ste. Marie that supports me. I mean, liking something, liking a podcast or sharing the podcast or making a comment or saying, "What's up, Carlo? It's been 30 years. What's up, dude?" Even saying that, I love that. And thank you everybody who does that. It takes a village. It's always going to take a village. I'm going to do this village episode probably every couple of months or every 6 months or however long it takes, because I need to remind myself how important it is. And I want to keep on, what am I trying to say? Nurturing that village and fertilizing that village and letting that village grow, and supporting it and nurturing that village, because you don't have to grow. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have, 1,000,000 people in your village. You can have 10 people, you can have 20 people in your village, or 100 people, but it's the quality, right? It's quality of those relationships, and it's what that relationship does. And I'm realizing that it's important. I realize now that growing up, and having all of these friends, and whether it was in elementary school or high school, and living in my neighborhood, and we could go back and forth and go play baseball or go play football at Penn Horwood Park or wherever it was, play buck against the high school, not high school, but elementary school wall or whatever it was. Those are the, like, I can still talk to those same people 25 years later, 30 years later. And again, it's nothing special about me or them, I don't think, but it's the relationship, and it's time, right? We can look back, we have memories, we have great memories of what helped build us, or help form us and shape us as the people we are today. And that village doesn't stop, right? That village continues when you're an adult. That village continues when you go into the workforce. Whether you're working full time, whether you're working, day shifts, whether you're working a night shift, whether you're working weekends, whatever it is, every time you're going to interact with another human, there's a potential. There's a potential to grow, and there's a potential to connect. And that's the whole idea. The connection, it's the village. And the greater village you have, not bigger, but the more successful village, the more connected village you have, then the more chances I think you'll have to withstand the storms. Really, to withstand the storms of life. Tragedy happens, stress happens, health, disease happens, death happens, the loss of jobs, all kinds of things happen in your life. And I really believe, and I'm really appreciating these days what this village does and how it keeps us afloat, right? Because like I said, I mean, you can do it alone. You can go move into the bush and move into the forest 100 miles away from everybody else. But I don't think that's in our DNA. I really do think that we are community-based animals, right? We need to live together. We are animals. Let's not forget that. We need to live together. We need to be in contact. We need touch. We need hugs. We need kisses. We need affection. Another thing the pandemic has reminded me that no, I'm not going to continue going on without shaking people's hands, without hugging people. I'm going to do that. If you're okay with it, I'm going to hug you. Sorry, Mr. Prime Minister. Sorry, Mr. Premier, but you don't know shit about me and my relationship with my village member. You don't know shit about that. And you certainly don't know, we're certainly not in a place where I'm not going to get anything from hugging them that I can't deal with. That's just the bottom line. You want to examine, and you want to realize how much risk we have to take in life, right? The real risk, I think, is not from hugging your neighbor, right? Or shaking the hand of the guy you don't know because you don't know what's on his hands. Well, you never knew what's on this guy's hands. The real risk, I think, is in the danger of having the village dissolve, whether it's a orchestrated narrative by some superpower, or not superpower, by some government or whatever, or whether it's just our fear that dissolves the village. If you keep on living in fear, I'm not saying you are, but if you do live in fear and you don't trust your neighbor, and you don't trust the community, you don't trust the village that you had, that village is going to disintegrate. Maybe not for everybody else, but it will for you. And then who do you have, right? And who has you? It's not just about who you have in a time of need, but who can you give? Who can you help? Who can you give yourself to help them get through that storm? Because we all have storms. We all have crises. We all have things that go on in our life and that happen, whether they're our fault or not. Yes, many times we do things and kick us, get us, bite us in the ass, right? That doesn't matter. Your village is going to be there for you. you be honest, you be connected with them, and you just be open, and you love your village, and your village will love you back. That's how families work, and that's how friendships work, right? This pandemic shouldn't change anything like that, and it doesn't. It really didn't for most people. Yes, people are afraid. Yes, there's possibly good reason to be afraid, right? Of course, but there's more reason to value the village, and there's more reason to stay connected. Okay, I think I'm done with this whole village talk for now. I'm going to talk about it again in a couple months. I'm reminded all the time, and it does mean a lot to me. Again, this is not an episode. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not anybody. I'm not an expert in any of this, but I am 43 years old, right? And that doesn't mean I'm 80. That doesn't mean I have all the knowledge and all the experience in the world, but I'm learning, and we're all learning together, and I'm appreciating some things. And some things are very, very visible to me now, very, very clear. And the things that are clear to me, one of the things is the importance of the village, of our community, our connection, our neighborhood, whatever we want to call it, right? Friends and family, loved ones. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just our traditional friends and family as loved ones. It's our neighbors. You can love your neighbor. You should love your neighbor. Even if you don't know your neighbor, love your neighbor in the sense of not harming your neighbor, right? Equal respect for people, right? Your property is your property. Their property is their property. Simple things. We all generally, most people generally respect these things, even if we don't talk about them, even if we don't realize and put it down on paper and actually say, oh yeah, I guess I do, appreciate my privacy. Well, yeah, of course you appreciate your privacy, right? We grew up without locking our door all the time as a kid. People still didn't walk in. People still respected your privacy. People still knocked when they came to your door, even though it wasn't locked. Why? Because that's the thing to do, right? You show respect, and that doesn't change. Sure, people lock our doors these days. That's good. Lock your doors. If you still live in a town that doesn't lock their door, let me know. fatsoradio@gmail.com. I want to talk to you, because that's the kind of town I like, and that's the kind of, I'm not going to move there necessarily, but maybe. But that's the idea, right? That you don't have to worry, because if somebody needs something, they can come in. If it's cold at night, or if it's whatever. I mean, I don't know. The idea of not locking your door, I guess, is that you know everybody, right? And anybody's kind of welcome. Or the idea maybe is that, I don't know, actually, I think that's the idea. Folks, thank you for listening to Fatso Radio. Thank you for watching Fatso Radio. If you haven't liked already, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please share the channel. If you want to be on the podcast, we can talk about fat, we can talk about weight loss, we can talk about sugar, we can talk about anything. We can talk about guns, we can talk about freedom, we can talk about hunting. Hey, it's hunting season. If you're a hunter, let me know. I want to hear all about your adventures. I want to hear actually. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about everything, the details. Where do you go hunting? What do you hunt for? What's it like? I've been hunting a few times. I didn't catch anything. I want to go hunting again. One of the great things about Canada, folks, and US, of course, and all over the world, actually, you can hunt pretty much everywhere, I hope still. It's super healthy. Another episode on that. Let me know. fatsoradio@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. I love you all. Violet's going to say thanks for listening now, and I appreciate you all. Thanks, folks. Have a great night. Oh, November. What is it? November 19th. Oh, time goes fast. Time goes fast. I love you all. Peace. Fatso Radio. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Let's say bye to everybody. Bye. And we'll say thanks for listening. Say thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Fatso Radio, the really great podcast show.
Fatso Radio, the really great podcast show.
So get your butt and get in your chair.
Don't eat your nails and don't pull your hair.
We'll talk about chicken or talk about steak.
We'll talk about fat, for goodness sake.
Fatso, the really great podcast show.
Fatso, a very first podcast show.